This is Radio Nepal. I'm Manjil Ghimire with the news. The headlines first. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda calls on universities to conduct more research on climate change impacts and measures to tackle them. Police arrest 32 people, including 2 government officers, on charge of illegally sending Nepali nationals to foreign countries. And Israel says Gaza war will continue with or without international support. Now, the news in detail. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda has urged Kathmandu University to conduct more research on climate change impacts and measures to tackle them. Addressing the 29th convocation ceremony of Kathmandu University yesterday, Prime Minister Prachanda called for conducting academic research and publish in national and international journals to help minimize the adverse effects of climate change on the local community. He also applauded the university's efforts in using technology for scientific research and the advancement of human life through the Nepal Technology Innovation Center. Prime Minister Prachanda appealed to the scholars and youth who are abroad for further study and experience to use the acquired knowledge and skills for the sustainable development of the motherland. On a different note, Prime Minister Prachanda said the government was making efforts to bring the Nepali youths who have joined the Russian army back home. Finance Minister Dr. Prakash Saran Mahat says the economic reform programs followed by the monetary policy have helped revive the country's economy. Talking to media persons in Finance Ministry yesterday, Minister Mahat stated that the economic reform programs incorporated in the annual policies and the programs, budget and monetary policy of the current fiscal year had begun showing positive results. Finance Minister Dr. Mahat, however, said it would take some more time for achieving growth in production and employment. According to the minister, the government is effortful to fix a ceiling to the current expenditures and to promote the capital expenditures. World Bank's country director to Nepal, Feris Hadad-Jervas, paid a courtesy call on President Ramchandra Paudel yesterday. In a meeting held at Sital Niwas, President Paudel appreciated the support provided by the World Bank for Nepal's economic development and poverty alleviation. President Paudel also expressed his belief that the World Bank would help in reducing the negative impacts of climate change in Nepal. On the occasion, Country Director Jervas said the cooperation between Nepal and the World Bank would get further strengthened in the days to come. Meanwhile, President Paudel has officially accepted the resignation tendered by General Secretary of the Federal Parliament Secretariat, Dr. Bharatraj Gautam. General Secretary Dr. Gautam had tendered his resignation to the President effective from December 10th. According to the Office of the President, Sital Niwas, President Paudel approved his resignation to take effect from the same day. Police have arrested 32 people, including 2 government officers, on charge of illegally sending Nepali nationals to foreign countries. A team from the Kathmandu Valley Crime Division made the arrests. The arrestees included government officials Arbinda Yadav, officer at the Nepal Airlines Corporation, and Nabir Khadka, officer at the Department of Immigration. It is said they facilitated the departures of Nepali nationals to foreign countries, promising jobs by forging required documents in the nexus of human trafficking racketeers. At a press conference yesterday, Senior Superintendent of Police Somendra Singh Rathore said the arrestees charged amount between 15,000 and 55,000 rupees per person for sending them to foreign countries. Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Employment has urged everyone to remain alert to potential fraud in the name of employment in Israel. According to Department spokesperson and information officer Kabiraj Upreti, the sending of Nepali migrant workers to Israel-based care homes is currently being facilitated through official channels, as per the labor agreement reached between Nepal and Israel. He added that discussions were ongoing with Israel regarding the deployment of Nepali migrant workers for agricultural purposes, but no conclusive decision has been made so far. The selling, consumption and transaction of tobacco-based products wrapped in plastics have been prohibited in Kathmandu metropolitan city KMC area from today. KMC Health Department Chief Ram Prasad Paudel said a complete ban has been imposed on the sale of tobacco products wrapped in plastics in the Kathmandu metropolis's all 32 wards. According to him, the selling, storage and consumption of tobacco products packed in plastics have been completely prohibited within KMC from today. The banned tobacco products include the raw tobacco, chewing tobacco, bidi, tambaku, sulfa, gutka, pan parag, packaged in plastic pouches. It is said the KMC police will seize such products if found selling them. Tobacco control is the first condition for improving the public health and environment in the city. It is said KMC is preparing to implement program to control hookah in the second phase. The 28th UN Climate Change Conference, COP28, concluded in Dubai, UAE, leaving the global community with mixed feelings. The chair of the UN Least Developed Countries Group, Madeleine Diop Sarr, expressed disappointment, stating the outcome reflected the lowest possible ambition and fell short of what was needed to address the climate crisis urgently. Bimal Raj Rekmi, a member of the National Climate Council, lauded the inclusion of mountain in the decision text of the Global Stocktake and Global Goal on Adaptation as a victory for Nepal. Yet, he criticized the Global Goal on Adaptation GGA text for being generic and lacking immediate, impactful support for vulnerable communities to adapt to climate change. This news comes to you from Radio Nepal. Now on to some international updates. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel will go to the end to victory despite international pressures. Similarly, Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen has said the war in the Gaza Strip will continue with or without international support. He says a ceasefire at the current stage would be a gift to the terrorist organization Hamas. Meanwhile, the UN General Assembly on Tuesday overwhelmingly adopted a non-binding resolution demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. And U.S. President Joe Biden has said Israel was starting to lose global support over its indiscriminate bombing of Gaza. Meanwhile, an overnight storm has worsened the conditions of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who have fled their homes. Many are in makeshift shelters or sleeping rough. Hamas broke through Israel's heavily guarded perimeter on 7th October, killing 1,200 people and taking 240 hostages, some of whom were released during a brief truce. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says 18,600 people have been killed and 50,000 injured in the enclave since the start of the war. India's parliament witnessed chaotic scenes after at least 2 men intruded into the chamber shouting slogans and spraying colored gas. Images show MPs and security officials trying to catch one of the intruders who are seen jumping from table to table. The incident occurred while lawmakers were in session in the Lok Sabha, the lower house of the India's parliament. Both houses were suspended for a short period before the session resumed. The breach occurred on 22nd anniversary of a deadly attack on India's parliament in which 14 people, including 5 of the attackers, were killed. Now the general weather forecast for the country. With the partial influence of westerly winds across the country, Meteorological Forecasting Division has forecast the weather to be partly cloudy in the hilly areas of Kosi province and partly cloudy to mainly fair in the rest of the country today. According to the latest information provided by the division, the minimum temperature of Kathmandu Valley is recorded as 5.7 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature as 18 degrees Celsius. With this, we have almost come to the end of this news bulletin from Radio Nepal for this hour. But before wrapping it up, let's have a reminder of the headlines once more. Prime Minister Pushpakamal Dahal Prachanda calls on universities to conduct more research on climate change impacts and measures to tackle them. Police arrest 32 people, including 2 government officers, on charge of illegally sending Nepali nationals to foreign countries. And Israel says Gaza war will continue with or without international support. This is all we have for this bulletin. Our next bulletin in English will be at 2 in the afternoon. You can listen to us online on our website www.onlineradionepal.gov.np and our mobile app. For more news and information, keep listening to Radio Nepal. Have a good day.